Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. Well, when you move to a new apartment or apartment complex, you trust that the complex screens anyone who might be given access to your home. Well, one Pensacola woman says that trust was violated back in March when a maintenance man used his keys to break into her apartment and rape her. Now she's suing the maintenance man and the Area Housing Commission. Jaclyn Kelly spoke with that woman tonight and joins us now with more. Jaclyn.
Well, Bob, she claims the Area Housing Commission handed the keys over to a dangerous man despite all the warning signs. Now she's sharing her story to expose the problem and encourage other women to come forward.
Latitia Fagan says she always felt safe in her home until St. Patrick's Day.
Dozed back off, and when I woke back up, I woke up to him standing by my living room door with the clipboard in his hand.
She says that familiar face she saw standing by her door was this man, Terry Hamilton, the maintenance man who worked at her apartment complex and who she once had a sexual relationship with.
I just dozed back off because I was under medicine. And when I woke back up, he was on top of me, having sex.
She says he used his maintenance keys to break into her apartment, then raped her while she was sedated.
Because of the previous history we had, I didn't look at it like that at first, to be honest, until I told one of the area housing, person what had happened. And he said to me, just like this, Miss Fagan, he said, "You was raped." Then it just hit me.
Her apartment manager reported it to the Area Housing Commission, who then reported it to Pensacola police.
I was really, it's the point, did not want to press charges. I was just scared, what he might, do to me or my family.
4 days later, Hamilton was arrested and charged and fired from his job. But now Fagan has filed a civil lawsuit against the Area Housing Commission for hiring Hamilton in the first place.
Just a simple background search of his criminal record in Escambia County raises red flags.
According to Hamilton's personnel file, the Area Housing Commission did run a background check before they hired him. He had been charged with 4 crimes ranging from grand theft to burglary. 3 were never prosecuted, but he pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor battery charge and received 1 year probation. According to the Area Housing Commission's own policy, they don't hire anyone with a felony conviction and use their discretion when considering applicants with misdemeanors on their record. Fagan's attorney, Ryan Barnett, says he hopes this lawsuit will convince the commission to change its policies.
This is a problem that most of us don't have to deal with. We don't have to worry about who's coming into our home and whether we're safe and secure. There is a duty as a matter of law to ensure that these folks are safe, and that duty was breached without question in this case.
According to his personnel file, Hamilton was far from a model employee. He'd been disciplined 8 times and suspended 4 times for not doing his job or failing to follow instructions. He was also allowed to drive a company truck despite a history of traffic violations and several license suspensions. Fagan says Hamilton had power and abused it. She says he made unwanted advances to other women, trading sexual favors to keep repair work off the books. She says she tried to break off her own relationship with Hamilton, but says he continued to pursue her right up to the day she was raped.
Didn't want to be with him, didn't want him to leave his wife. I just had to do what I had to do at that time to keep a roof over me and my kids' head. Women shouldn't feel like they have to sleep with their maintenance man to keep their apartment.
Barnett says complaints weren't taken seriously and were often ignored.
If not condoned, tacitly permitted to continue, because these were women who largely don't have a voice. Nobody's listening to them.
Fagan says any tenant labeled a problem would be evicted, which is why she says many chose to stay silent.
So I'm doing this for other women to come out, tell their story.
Abe Singh, the executive director of the Area Housing Commission, says no other maintenance workers have been discharged or reprimanded for their treatment of female residents and declined to comment further on the allegations. In late October, a court hearing was held to determine if another woman's allegations against Hamilton would be admissible in this case. We told you about that case at 6. That accuser says she was a teen when Hamilton tried to rape her in 2004 while working as a maintenance man at another complex. The judge has yet to rule on that motion.
Terry Hamilton is now out of jail on a $125,000 bond he posted in October. He is scheduled to appear in court for a docket day on February 7th.
We've got a lot of rescue crews, a lot of volunteers here on the ground trying to get to people. We have exactly 1,000 unanswered calls, so that's why they're here. They've been taking turns going down, coming back with more and more people, a lot of pets today. In fact, I talked to fire officials just a little while ago, and they said that they rescued 2 little boys who had been left in their apartment to fend for themselves. Fire officials now taking them to a local shelter, but all alone, left by themselves. It's just some heart-wrenching stories out here, but also some very heartwarming stories. These volunteers are out here with their own boats, their own supplies, going out there trying to help people. The conditions here becoming ever more dangerous as local creeks and rivers rise. Here along Cypress Creek, just north of downtown Houston, the rising water is pushing more people and their pets from their homes.
Today, I would say the water is rising about 6 foot right now inside my house and totally lost.
Rescue crews responding to 1,000 unanswered calls near Cypress Creek alone, forcing many, like Andy Dang, to wait for help.
They evacuated my mother yesterday, and today's my turn, and I'm glad it's still surviving.
You're just kind of in shock and kind of, you just never think it's going to happen to you. Well, everybody always says that, and it's true. But
Nancy White is among the many rescued from her home by volunteers.
We've been to a couple houses already that were on the second story, and water was entering the second story, and so it was definitely higher than what we expected.
Stephen Lott traveled through the night from Louisiana to help. He and his 3 friends cobbled together enough money to buy a boat. Meanwhile, those without boats are finding other ways to help.
Wherever they need to go. That's where we've been transporting them, wherever they need to go.
Boats upon boats returning full of people trying to get their loved ones and pets to higher ground, but many unsure of where they'll go next as the water continues to rise. And we have just heard a lot of heart-wrenching stories out here, including 2 little boys who were rescued from an apartment today that were left alone to fend for themselves. We're also hearing those heartwarming stories of those volunteers going out and making those rescues. They say they will be here for as long as it takes. Christina?
Man, wow. Thank you, Jaclyn.
February's EF3 tornado came through this Pensacola neighborhood. The path of that destruction evident with homes like this, but you can also see the difference it made for homes that were hardened before the storm and protected in case of a major storm. This family telling me it not only protected them during the storm, but it's helped save them hundreds every year.
The lights blinked and they went off, and she said, "Mom, run."
Lois and David Watson remembered the terrifying moments when they took cover in their bathroom as the tornado passed over their home.
The walls were literally shivering. My ears just almost exploded. I grabbed for them, and yet it was only a minute time.
In that minute's time, the 150-mile-an-hour winds wreaked havoc on this quiet cul-de-sac. Today, nearly 3 months later, only 3 of the 9 homes are livable, including the Watsons' home.
The house next door to us was not, but the house on the other side of us had all the windows blown out. We didn't even have a window cracked.
They did have some damage. A tree fell on the side of their house, piercing the roof and causing a small leak. But they say they fared far better than most, thanks to Rebuild Northwest Florida.
We replace these garage doors. If you see these struts here and the way it's attached to the wall, this makes it a wind-rated and impact-rated garage door. And a lot of the homes out here that didn't have these failed.
Through the program, the Watsons upgraded their hurricane shutters and installed this steel door.
The way it's fastened to the structure and the way the door is made makes it resistant to wind pressure and impact.
They also strengthened their roof.
We put hurricane clips on this house. These will not be able to see them because they're buried in the soffits, but basically that holds the roof trusses down to the walls.
William Merle with Rebuild Northwest Florida says insurance companies offer credits for storm-rated features and upgrades through what's called a wind mitigation inspection form. And he says it's something homeowners can do on their own.
If you wanted to get credits on your insurance, you would hire an inspector. There's many local companies that do it.
But Merle says even if you haven't made any upgrades to your home, you should still get an inspection.
What's interesting is that a lot of people that have never had the inspection done, they may be eligible for credits they're not even getting.
For the Watsons, the total out-of-pocket cost was $4,000. And in the 4 years since they've made the upgrades, it's paid for itself. Every year, they've received more than $600 in credits on their insurance bill.
We're on a fixed income, so we have to watch every penny close, and this has been a very good help in helping us do that, too.
But the Watsons say the peace of mind of knowing they're protected and prepared is priceless.
To find out more on how you can make improvements to your home, or if you qualify for credits you may not know you're eligible for, just head to our website, weartv.com. In Pensacola, Jaclyn Kelly, Channel 3 News.